Welcome to the Building Texas Show. This episode, we are in Bellaire, Texas, which is right near Houston, and I'm excited to be talking to Mayor Gus Pappas. Mayor, how is Bellaire today?
Bellaire's doing great. We are on the move, as I said at our recent installation on Monday night, where we elected in November. We elected 3 of our council members, 3 of the 6, and then the mayor is up every election, every 2 years. The mayor's up, so I was also reelected and installed, and so we are embarking on 2026, and it's going to be a fabulous year, no question about it. We can already see it.
Well, congratulations on another term as mayor. What had you become mayor of Bellaire? What drew your interest to that role?
So I came back from a sailing trip from Santorini. Well, I was on Santorini and I was thinking about sailing, and then a couple of years later, I got my captain's license, and so we started. My wife and I, with a group of other people in Bellaire and around the area, started sailing. And I came back and I thought, I've accomplished this wonderful accomplishment here. And so what's my next adventure? What's my next great adventure? And I looked in the local newspaper and then it says, applications accepted for city council. And I thought, I've done things like this before. I was on the parish council at my church. I was the president of the Houston Young Lawyers Association, and bar associations and things such as that. And so I said, I think I could do this. This would be fun. And so I applied, and I won. Went through a campaign. There was somebody else that was running that was certainly well qualified as well, but I was fortunate. I came out on top. I served 8 years as a city councilman, ran unopposed in my second 4-year term, and then I was mayor pro tem. Was elected by the council to be mayor pro tem. And so then when the current mayor decided that he was term limited out, and he says, look, you have done the work. I think you're a natural successor. If you want it, I will support you. And I said, why not? I think I love my town. I love everything about it. I love the Houston area. I'm sort of, for the most part, I wasn't born here, but I got here as quick as I could, as they say, as most good-hearted Texans say. And so anyway, I've been here for a long time, and I said, you know what? I think this would be really, really neat. So I ran and went through a runoff. There were 3 people that were running because it was an open election. And I was fortunate enough to come out on top of some really good candidates. So anyway, and so here I am.
Well, 8 years on city council is a great start into politics, and really it's not politics as much as city government and the management of those expectations. What did you learn in those 8 years that said, hey, I want to keep doing this?
What was fascinating, one of the first things that I learned during that 8-year period of time is that being in governance, particularly if you're going to do it right, and you really care, and you're doing it for all the right reasons. And I will tell you, most people that I have met in state, federal, and other local governments are doing it for the right reasons. There are some that are not, and I think they're obvious. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, making these decisions is not so easy. Because if you really care, you really want to find out everything there is about a particular subject, and you want to make the right decision. You don't want to just go off half-cocked, and then next thing you know, you make a mistake. And so people think it's easy. Oh, if I was in power, I would just do X or I would do Y. And one of the things that I found out is that it's not so easy to make those calls, and it takes some time and consideration. So I have a little bit more empathy for folks that make these hard calls. The flip side is it also gives you an opportunity to weigh in and have input on decisions and have a voice, and that you should use that voice. And you are there to do the work of the town because they have elected you to do that work. So while they're raising their kids and enjoying baseball games and football games and working in their yard and working their jobs, they've elected you to do the job. And so go do it to the best of your ability. It's a representative scenario. And so I felt like those were two of the things that you just don't really think about. But once I got in, I went, so here I am. I'm going to use my good judgment. I'm going to make the decisions. I'm going to think through them and I'm going to make them. And that was kind of interesting because you could make a difference.
Well, and at that local level, the difference is felt all the way from pothole management to
It's
parks and people. And I appreciate what you're saying there because there is an outside perspective of what is the job and what can you do and why do people do it. But then there's the reality of it's a slow moving process. City government is a lot of that decision making based on judgment and representing your peers because that's who you're there to serve.
absolutely. No question about it. And I think it is slow moving, but it's slow moving for a reason because you have the one thing that you have in particularly in even in all towns. I mean, Bellaire is a very eclectic community. It's very diverse in not only its culture, its religions, the economics. We're a bit on the higher side on the economic scale, simply because of location and what have you. But at the end of the day, you've got a divergence of ideas and cultures and thought process and political ideology that comes into play. You look at that as a sort of as a challenge, but I look at it as a positive and thinking, look, it is great when you have issues that are there to get the bookends of these issues, to get what's over here on this side and what's over here on this side, and then what's in between, because it allows you to get that input. Obviously, you have to make a decision and you have to come down somewhere, but it is great to get that kind of input because you really do get a better decision in the end. And Bellaire is like that. And we have that divergence of opinion that we can benefit by. And I think it serves the city well ultimately in the end.
Now, Bellaire sits inside of a city.
Does.
It's, I would say, it's an enclave.
Yes, it is.
So geographically, you're restricted in growth, but it's still seeing growth and development and the evolution. What does that look like in an enclave, and how should residents think about growth in a city like Bel Air?
Well, it's a great question because I see it as we're growing, and I use that term specifically because while the incorporated areas of the city does not grow, Houston is not going to let us take some of their land and some of their tax base, and I get that. What was interesting, we've come up on I think the 80th anniversary of West University effort to try and take Bellaire and some other areas, and that didn't go well for them 80 years ago. And I don't know, there was a recent article in the Houston Chronicle, and it quoted me as saying it. I was like, did I really say that? But it says, hey, we won, they lost, now we're bigger. And so, but you see the efforts of these towns to try and increase their size. We can't do that for all these reasons because we are an enclave city. However, the way I define growth is growth in your infrastructure, growth in your development, growth in the turnover of businesses, and the turnover. Like for example, we're growing in the sense that we've been working on our Evelyn's Park for now going on a decade. The Nature Discovery Center is growing and evolving. We are looking to develop our evergreen pool. We are constantly looking to grow and develop our street structures and our drainage infrastructure, which we're embarking in 2026 on a $110 million drainage project that's actually outside of the city, but the influence should be felt regionally. We actually have increased our land holdings. We bought 2.5 acres to move our public works facilities, which is outside of the incorporated city of Bellaire. And we are looking to buy land. I mean, we are buying land. It's not incorporated within the city. It's in Houston, but it is land that Bellaire owns. We have just traded with the city of Houston. We gave them 76 acres west of Houston to help drainage. We picked up a little over 13 acres near Bellaire to add so that we can have to add for our drainage infrastructure, detention ponds and things like that in green space. And so I think you just have to think to yourself, we grow in our redevelopment, we grow in our outlook, we grow in our infrastructure, and we grow in the amenities that makes it a great place to live. And I think in those ways you can grow. You just get more mature. It's kind of like, being a child. You're not really growing all that much, but you're growing in your mindset, your ability to do bigger and better things, smarter things, and achieve results. And I think that's what we're doing as we move along.
Well, and that's a really interesting way to frame it. And I appreciate that you're doing stuff outside of Incorporated Bel Air because
Sure.
it is the responsibility of the city to create that environmental safety, to create the right drainage solutions and things that they're not sexy to think about, right? Who wants to spend $110 million on a water system or
Right.
infrastructure system? But you're grateful for it every day. What does that look like when it comes to interlocal agreements and having shared services?
So that's a trick. That's the trick, right? The project that we are now working on started that's culminating now in 2026, which we will actually start moving some dirt here in 2026. Started in 2017 after Harvey, and we had a third of our inventory of our homes. We have over 6 to 7,000 homes in Bellaire. A third of them or so got flooded, anywhere from 5 inches, 8 inches to 5 feet. And because we're very much near Brays Bayou, and when Brays Bayou went over, the conflagration of water coming from northwest to southeast, hitting the freeway at 610, and because we straddle 610, I mean our donut hole in the middle of Houston, right in the middle of it is 610, and so as that water came from northwest to southeast, it hit the freeway, it sort of backs up. And then on the south side, when the bayou backed up, it came up. And so you had a conflagration of water that caused a tremendous amount of damage in Bellaire specifically. And so we embarked at that time and said, hey, we have to do something to protect our town. And it took a while. I mean, I have to tell you, it took several years to come up with a plan, but we finally did. And we settled on the sort of the foundational project was the expansion of Cypress Ditch. But Cypress Ditch is in Houston. So we have to go to Houston and say, hey guys, you've got a ditch here. We drain into it. It's important for us to perhaps help you, if you will, fix it, redevelop it, get it bigger, make it work better. That helps us, that helps you, helps the region. So we work with them. We work with the state of Texas because the state of Texas is very interested in the Houston area and making sure that it is safe. We worked with the Harris County Flood Control District, and because they have got their own interest in those regards, and so they came through with $15 million for this project as well. The state of Texas came in with $54 million, which we went and sold them on the notion that this is a super important regional project. And we proved our point, and they agreed, and they awarded us the money. We also contributed $40 million of our own money, so we would have skin in the game. It's hard to go to these groups and say, hey, give us money for this project if you're not willing to put up some yourself. And we did, and we did that first. And so we work with the city of Houston. TxDOT is involved. TxDOT has to come in because they have the freeway, and they're looking at this project and saying, well, if you're going to do Cypress Ditch, now it makes sense for us to perhaps take a look at what kind of drainage does the freeway feeder streets look like? And we've worked with them before in that regard, and now we're hoping that in the coming years there'll be some extensions south of some of that drainage system on 610 all the way to the bayou. But yes, it's imperative that we work with our partners. We can't do it alone. And I think everybody, particularly with Harvey, the May Day and the Tax Day floods that occurred, back in the mid 2000 teens, it became imperative, and I think everybody understood. And I think most people were just really appreciative that our small little town said, we'll carry the banner. We'll take the lead on this project, even though we're small. We will do it. Quite frankly, I think they were just thankful, and once we did, and now we are embarking on it, and we've got a great group of people that we've got some consultants and private consultants that are integrally interested in it because some of their folks live in Bellaire too. So we've got a great group of people, and everybody is really come to the forefront to pitch in, and so we're going to embark on that. But it wouldn't have happened but for our relationships with all of these other state entities and agencies.
Well, in that collaboration in a city like Houston or a region like Houston, better said, um, there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of people that are wanting what's going to be good for their neighborhood, their city, their area.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to come prepared. And I appreciate that you came prepared and with the funding that is often the immediate need to
Right.
get a project started. When you look at Bel Air, does Bel Air have a city manager?
It does. It does.
Okay.
Our government, the way our city government is structured is that we have a city council made up of the mayor and 6 city council members, and then a city manager. And so it's a dual sort of operation. The city manager is in charge of all the operations of the city. All the department heads report to her. It's Sharon Satino's our city manager, doing a great job. Runs. She's the head of that. Runs all the day-to-day operations. The city council essentially creates all the policies. We will create all the laws, we create the policies, the direction, the future plans of the city. We approve the budget. We will hire the city manager, and then so essentially we're at the top. But there's a duality in the sense that we create policy and the city manager executes it. Um,
Well, and I asked the question really leading into the idea of a master plan,
hmm,
because Bel Air would be a master planned community, I'm sure, that has this idea of what does the vision for the next 10, 20 years of projects look like. And when we started with this is a slow moving process, city
right.
government, but it's often a surprise for people to understand that their city has that master plan, and while it might feel slow moving, it's very well documented.
Hmm.
And if you have questions, rather than getting frustrated and keyboard warrior, I would much prefer someone to say, "Oh, let me go to the site, the city site, and look at this project," which by statute is in the master plan and very transparently telling you what's happening and why.
Absolutely, and we do have sort of some structural ideas about way we would like for the city to look. Now, Bel Air is unique a bit in the sense in complete contrast to Houston because we're a zoned city. We have specific areas that are zoned for specific purposes. There's corridors that we have up and down Bissonnette as they go through Bel Air, or Rice, or Chimney Rock. These are areas that are designated in such ways as all residential, or they can be designated for mixed use or commercial mixed use uses, or industrial, light industrial. And so we are constantly tweaking that with regard to sort of, if you will, our master plan, our sort of conceptual idea over the next 10, 20 years, what we would like for the vision to be. We take that and then we look at it and make sure that our zoning matches those two. And so if you wanted to look for the city of Bel Air, you can go look at that structural plan that we have in place. That gives you an idea of conceptually what we want the city to look like, and then we have our planning and zoning committee help, board or commission rather, help with making sure that our zoning complies with that, so that they match. Now, it's interesting. Bel Air was never designed originally as a master plan because if you can imagine, you know, almost a century ago, roughly or so, it was just just an area where they put up a bunch of small houses, primarily for folks coming in, after the various wars that needed a place to live, and so here they were, and it was just a collection of homes, and it still has its moniker of Bellaire, a city of homes, and that's where its soul resides is its residents. But at the same time, and I have to tell you, there's a very strong effort to maintain that. And so and that goes to your question about why things sometimes are a bit slow moving, is because, people say, well, how is that going to affect our residents? And how is that going to affect our city of homes concept? And how is that going to affect this? And so we constantly are looking to improve and move and grow with that concept in mind, and make sure, let's don't lose our soul, because our soul is our residents and our homes and the nice neighborhoods and the trees and the parks and the sort of old town feel. We have a July 4th parade, and every July 4th, everybody gets to enter, and we have our little parade. We have all sorts of little festivals and arts and crafts festivals twice a year. I mean, the things that you see in small town America, in rural places all over the country, we have in Bellaire. And that is important to everybody that comes, and a big reason why they come to Bellaire. And so for that reason, we don't want to lose that. And it takes time, because you have to do it right. And so we're unlike Sugarland, where somebody looked at it and said, hey, I want this to look like this. This has been something that started this way, and it has evolved on its own. And so we have to be careful, and that does take some time.
Well, when I look at local government, my consideration is the role is to create the environment for success,
Mm,
and that's done through the water and drainage systems that you've talked about, the intentionality of that zoning policy, which is not the case across Houston,
sure.
but for Bellaire, it really does distinguish itself, and that lets you plan slowly and intentionally where this is going in the future. As
Right.
we wrap up today, 2026, Bellaire isn't probably a big tourism city, and you're really there for your residents and the people in your homes. But you mentioned the parade, you mentioned the festivals that come in.
Right.
What should people be looking for in 2026 if they say, "Oh, I want to go see Bellaire"? What is it that they would come see?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, what they will come see is that we will be moving some dirt with regard to our drainage project, and we'll be taking 13 to 20 acres of land, and it will become green space with detentions that we can add parks and trails to in the coming years. But Evelyn's Park is a wonderful draw. It's a beautiful park in the middle of town. It's got Betsy's, which is a nice little eatery that's there. Plus, there's open space, wonderful things for kids. We have our Nature Discovery Center that is predominantly to address young people, adolescents, with regard to their discovery of nature. We have some bike paths. We have connectivity to Brays Bayou that you can ride bikes with, and you can take off from Bellaire and go to Brays Bayou and go north and south all the way, even all the way up and to the University of Houston if you wanted to. So we have biking. We have our parks that are here, and of course we've got our quaint little downtown that is constantly and we've got our little watch shops and our little cookie shops and our little eateries that we have. And you can, it's not quite as walkable as we'd like to it, but we're working on that very, very slowly. So it's a great place to visit and relax. And the wonderful thing about Bellaire is that we are so close to everything else. Like if you come here and you stay or you visit friends, or if you buy a house, or if you rent for a period of time, um, you're close to the Galleria. If you want to go out in Sugarland and see friends, you're close there. You're close to NRG. You're close to downtown and the theater districts. we are close to the medical center. We're not even that far from 288 and going to see things down south on 45 even. So we're strategically located that not only can you see things in the city of Bellaire, but you can experience all the rest of Houston and what it has to offer. And so that's what I would say to folks that come to visit our little town. And if you happen to come in the fall or in the spring or in the summertime, hope you do, and you come get to see our little July 4th parade, because it is classic. The kids with all their little bikes, they put little red and white little decals, and they streamers and all sorts of things, and everybody participates. We have bands on Friday nights in the fall and the spring. We have bands in our center square that they come, little cover bands. People come out with their lawn chairs. They sit. They have their little ice chests with them. We have 500, 600, 700 people that come and do that routinely. So there's programming that also fits with that at other times. And it's a matter of lifestyle. It's just taking it easy, enjoying life, raising your family.
Well, Mayor Gus Pappas, thank you for the time today. Thank you for introducing us to Bellaire and telling us about all the work that makes Bellaire the city that it is.
Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you guys doing this and allowing us the opportunity to talk about our town. So all the best to you and good luck and wonderful, wish you all the best on your trail through Texas.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us at the Building Texas Show. We're excited to share stories from across the state, covering the future of work and what Texas is going to look like over the next 50 years. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
You bet. Take care.